I am at the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, a place at which we get a spectacular view of this historic city, a city which is the political capital of Israel. And today, more history is being made as Kenyan officials hold talks with Israeli officials on various areas of cooperation. Part of the Kenyan envoy consists of cabinet secretaries of water and irrigation, of foreign affairs, of health, as well as interior security. Now, I am here with my colleague Alex Chamwada, who now gives us details of the events that took place today.
President Kenyatta's first meeting was at the residence of the President of Israel, Reuven Rivlin, where the two leaders spoke about bilateral ties between the two countries. First, with President Kenyatta saying trade between the two nations was growing steadily.
A number of Israeli companies do business in Kenya in fields from agriculture, construction, communication, infrastructure, water management, as well as irrigation.
The president further highlighted some of the areas where there are opportunities for further cooperation.
Of equal importance, Mr. President, is the energy sector that requires investment to enable the transition from overdependence on hydroelectric and fossil fuel power. And there is need, therefore, for more investment in generation of clean and renewable electric power, for example, geothermal, wind, and solar energy, where Kenya is making some strong advances.
President Kenyatta also hailed the role played by Israel in training Kenya's security personnel.
It is therefore my wish that the cooperation on security matters and sharing of intelligence between our two states is heightened to meet the new and increased threats. On the war against terrorism, as you mentioned, Mr. President, unfortunately, Kenya has not been spared and has suffered a number of attacks from the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab terrorist group based in Somalia. This group has caused death and destruction on innocent Kenyans. And I trust we can continue to rely on your support and cooperation, as well as benefit from your long expertise in this area. The war on terrorism being international, we all need to join hands together in order to defeat it.
On his part, President Reuven Rivlin said Israel recognizes Kenya's role in enhancing peace and security, especially in Africa.
The presence of Kenya's soldiers in Somalia as part of the African Union and the leading role you play in the peace talks across Africa is a sign of your responsibility to your region and your commitment to peace. I salute you.
After that, the president departed for Jerusalem Forest, where he planted a tree at the Grove of Nations. This is a place where visiting leaders are normally taken to plant a tree.
I want to do this one.
President Kenyatta's next stop was the office of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, where the two leaders held bilateral talks. Then there was a luncheon.
This brings us together in many ways. Equally, as I have said before, we both live in challenging neighborhoods with similar security concerns, and the cooperation between our two governments since the time of our independence has been formidable, and we look forward that this particular trip will strengthen those ties even further.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Kenyan delegation wound up today's agenda with a visit to the Yad Vashem, also known as the Holocaust Museum. It was put up in remembrance of the 6 million Jews who were massacred in one of the deadliest genocides in history during the World War II. Now, tomorrow, the president is expected to address the issue of cooperation and capacity building with regard to matters irrigation, complete with visit to some of the irrigation farms here in Israel. Now, that's it from my colleague Alex Chamwada and myself, Sharon Momanyi, for KTN News in Jerusalem, Israel.